Welcome back, and today we're talking about Higurashi When They Cry, episode 22. In this episode, we finally got some big answers regarding Rika's power, Satoko's power, essentially how the whole system works. It's a big cat and mouse game, right? Where we're trying to determine whose will is stronger, who is willing to outlast the other person. Specifically Rika and Satoko, because we learned in this episode that Satoko, she's able to go back through loops and she's trying to convince Rika to stay in Hinamizawa. But what's the problem? Rika ain't going to change her mind anytime soon. And Featherine, she explained it very well, right? She has been going through loops for 100 years, dying over and over and over. And even though she forgets her death, right, she still does remember the loops somewhat. She doesn't remember exactly how she died because a couple of hours are erased from her memories because the little girl, the Feathering was calling her the horn. I don't know if that's like a piece of her horn that got cut off and was able to grant these powers to Rika. Whatever the case may be, right? She wasn't able to remember the death, so she was just looping around for 100 years. So she's not going to give up on her goal anytime soon, right? Rika is not going to give up on her dream of leaving Hinamizawa at all unless Satoko can actually break her spirit. So I'm really quite excited about what's going to happen in the future, because seeing Satoko actually just going through all of Rika's memories, all of her lives that she lived throughout all those loops is crazy. It was like 100 years worth of memories. And, Satoko went through all of them. She was able to see all of it. And now she essentially has a plan to break Rika's will. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen because, this anime has some brutal scenes, right? It has some pretty gruesome deaths. And I'm only going to guess that, we have what, 3 episodes left, I believe. And it's only going to get worse. Like, Satoko's plan is probably going to be a brutal one. And I don't know if it's going to be enough to actually change Rika, right? But the happy ending to this is going to be either Satoko breaking Rika's spirit to the point where she's going to stay in Hinamizawa, or it could be the other way around where Rika actually breaks Satoko's spirit and she ends up either studying a lot harder, she goes outside of Hinamizawa to the academy and actually succeeds in the academy, right? It can go either way, or it could be a whole different outcome. Who knows, right? But I'm excited to find out. Now, I am intrigued by Feathering. She seems to be like a goddess. She's able to grant all these different powers. In fact, she's able to grant Rika the ability to remember all her death, because we know that Satoko is going to be probably killing her quite a lot to break her spirit. It could be another 100 years, 200 years, who knows, but it's going to be absolute torture. I cannot wait to see how this anime is going to end, because this last couple of episodes have been great. It's kind of hard to choose a side, right? Because I would say that Satoko is definitely crazy. She's definitely blowing this up out of proportion, right? Why can't she just accept the fact that Rika wants to leave, Hinamizawa, and she can go her own path, right? They don't have to stick together, right? They can come to an agreement and just agree to stay friends, but they're just gonna live their life the way they want to live it and go their separate ways. But Satoko doesn't want to do that, right? And when you kind of think about how she lived those 2 life cycles where essentially she bowed down to Rika and her dream and actually studied and went to the academy, I can kind of see how Satoko feels betrayed, but I do think she is definitely blowing this up out of proportion. And if Rika can now keep her memories through every loop, I am wondering if she's ever going to stay in Hinamizawa and give it a try, right? Like, I feel like that's going to be her only option. It just depends on how much Satoko is willing to start looping around. If it's for 100 years or 200 years, whatever the case may be, this is probably one of the biggest battles of wills that we will ever see. Because, I can't think of any other out of all the animes that I've seen, because this is going to take centuries probably, right? Just imagine being stuck, right, in a mental loop where you just die over and over and over. Like, that's definitely going to take a mental toll. The PTSD is going to be crazy. And if you are seeing like ReZero, one of the reasons why I love the anime is because of what Subaru goes through, right? Again, he remembers every death, and we see it in the anime as well, where he essentially, his mental capacity, his mental strength has to be on a whole different level, because some of his deaths are really gruesome and he gets to remember each and every single one. And we have have seen that character breakdown so many times because it's just too much, right? Like the human mind can only handle so much trauma before it just absolutely breaks. So I cannot wait to see where this one is going to go. It's going to be quite exciting. I am going to try to do reaction videos for like the last couple of episodes because it's probably going to be some big stuff. In fact, I tried to do a reaction video for this episode, but after the episode was done, I found out I was talking to myself for a good 20 minutes because I was not recording, so I had to do it in this format instead. But overall, it was a good episode. Glad we got some answers. I still don't think we got answers to what exactly the Hinamizawa syndrome is. Like, it seems like a disease, but honestly, I feel like there's something supernatural about it. Maybe feathering is behind it. Maybe she's granting people all these different powers and they just can't handle it like Satoko and RIKA can handle it, and that's why they start going crazy because they blame RIKA and they go after her. Maybe that's the case, but hopefully we get an exact explanation of what the Hinamizawa curse actually is. But yeah, overall, great episode. Cannot wait for the last 2 episodes. It's probably going to be great. It's probably going to be brutal. Let me know in the comments what was your favorite part of this episode, and like always, make sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode.